Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and in this video we're going to be talking about some of the most important free-to-play friendly teams in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes right now. Now the time of recording is December of 2023, so keep that in mind that this is a current list. This is not something that in a year this list might not be relevant anymore, but as of today, these are some of the most free-to-play important teams. Let's get into the video, but first we've got to give a massive shout out to my channel members. Thank you to all of you who are on the council. Even if you aren't yet granted the rank of master, I so much appreciate all of your support. And to those of you on the Wampa and Jedi Master tiers, thank you to you as well. Without players like you, this channel isn't possible. So let's get into the video, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe because, again, we're trying to grow this channel as much as we can. So the first team on this list is Commander Luke Skywalker. Now, this may be a little bit biased because I love Commander Luke. This is my favorite team in the game. Galactic Legends aside, this is my favorite team in the game. The reason I love this team is because it's a bunch of characters that, I mean, they're all very good. Obviously, iconic characters in Star Wars as well. But for me, it's just the way that all of their kits come together to make this team that just punches so well above its weight. When you really stop there and you think about the gear required for these characters, it blows me away how good they are. And when modded properly, they're a force to be reckoned with. Man, they get some datacrons sometimes and they just start deleting things. You think of, I've beaten Jabba with this team, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, they'll beat Starkiller. I mean, General Skywalker's a no-brainer. You know, they really do some awesome things. So I love this team so much. But the bigger reason why they're so important is because they really lead you into Jedi Knight Luke, Jedi Master Luke, Jabba, and Leia Organa. That all of them, you know, all three, if you count all those three things, Jedi Knight Luke, Jabba, Jedi Master Luke, and Leia Organa, all these things are used multiple times. And that to me is kind of why I'd call them a foundation team. This is something you build your roster on. And if you've watched my free-to-play farming guide from 2023, you know that this was a team that you focus on building this along your way. That as you're building Executor, as you're getting into those things, you're building this team because they're so important in Conquest, Territory Battles, Territory Wars, Grand Arena, Assault Battles, you name it, they're good at it. I love him. Two pieces. I cannot say enough good things about Commander Luke and his friends. The other thing right now that makes this team even more important is particularly these three characters. Obviously, Han and Chewbacca are pilots for the Millennium Falcon, but C-3PO, Chewbacca, and Han Solo are raid characters. And so right now, that means their importance is even higher, right? Being able to use those characters in the Endor raid is incredibly important and makes them worth so much more than just your average, than even just Commander Luke and 3PO and Chewie right now. So to me, them being in that raid makes them so important as a free-to-play because they're characters that even if you put relics on them, you're going to get a return out of it at some point in time. So being able to use them to score well in the raid, just really good. I love this team so much. I got to move on or else I'll keep talking about them. So let's get into the low gear heroes here. General Veers, Piet, Dark Trooper, and Range Trooper. If you've been on the channel for a while, you know that these are the four core Imperial Troopers. That for the General Veers team, these are the four most important Imperial Troopers. And I know what everybody's thinking. Where's Moff Gideon? All right, guys, Moff Gideon does not hold a flame to Piet in terms of the importance to this team, to Dark Trooper, or to Range Trooper. I'm sorry to say that, but it's the truth that these four right here are the core troopers. They're the most important. Obviously, Veers has the lead and the unique. Piet has his unique, the Emperor's Trap, which again is very important for whenever they begin a turn or attack out a turn, they gain a stack of the Emperor's Trap, which is a buff. 6% offense and potency per stack. That offense, ramps up to, beyond rookie numbers, right? Dark Trooper, there's more to Dark Trooper than meets the eye. The first thing, obviously, he's your damage at relic levels. He is your damage. But it's this one right here, Perfect Soldiers. He can give 10% turn meter for each stack of Dark Trooper. So, yeah, it's a cooldown of 5, but he can help make sure that your turn meter train keeps going at an important time. That he can juice that turn meter to make sure everybody keeps going and gets the turn meter train. But the big guy here is Range Trooper. So while Range Trooper is active, Imperial Trooper allies have a 50% chance to call another buffed Imperial Trooper ally, where you're always buffed, to assist when they use an ability during their turn. So those assists lead to more stacks of Emperor's Trap, which means more buffs for your team, which means that everybody's just constantly going. Even better on his unique here, they gain protection up for 3 turns, and they also gain retribution for that same period of time. So again, extra buffs for your team, extra turn meter. This guy just does it all, right? I love this team. Now your 5th here, again, you can use a bunch of different characters. Moff Gideon is very popular. I've seen Stark. I mean, I've seen every single Imperial Trooper as the 5th here. You name it, they've been there before. But those are your core 4 troopers. And at low gear, they even do really well. Because what you're going to see, especially now with all these light speed bundles that have come out, is players are not going to have good gear, like good relic level. They might have good relic levels on them, but they're not going to have good mods. So you're going to be able to use your Imperial Troopers at low gear to decimate a lot of those teams simply because they're not going to have mods on them. So as long as your PX fast enough and you can bridge with the rest of your team, you'll get that turn meter train going, and it's not going to matter. As you invest more gear in them, they're obviously able to do 2 different assault battles for you. But again, going back to that raid, guys, like right now the raid is really, really important. You can use Piet, Veers, and Range Trooper. So 3 of those guys can be used in the raid here. Dark Trooper can't, but he's just so important to the damage on that team, that especially as you get further and further in the game, that kind of need him. But think of being able to use 3 of these guys in the raid, extremely important, particularly as a free-to-play. You got to think with the free-to-play mindset that when you're investing gear, you need to be able to think, okay, is it going to help me in the now? And then in 6 months, in 9 months, in a year, am I still going to be able to utilize that team? And Imperial Troopers very much so are a team like that, where investing in them now is you're basically investing in the future. You really are. I know that sounds so cliche, but it's the truth. Next is Emperor Palpatine, Mara Jade, Starkiller. Again, the other 2 options here, you need a Jedi and a light side unaligned Force user, but these 3 are the core of that team. And this is, you'll notice I do this a lot, where if there's core members to a team, I only put them and then I'll mention who you can use in these slots. The big reason here, I almost didn't include this because I was like, is it really that free-to-play accessible? But it was Wombat. Shout out Wombat for when we did Proving Grounds together. He was showing me how to use he was showing me how he uses this team to do Proving Grounds. And Starkiller was the star of the show. Not because of the damage he was doing, not because he was the last character remaining and constantly pulling down his Star Destroyer, but because of the stats he's giving to the rest of the team. 100% critical damage, 100% max health, 100% max protection, 35 speed, and I think 2 of the more important things, immune to daze and stun. That's so incredible. This is his unique. This is basically a leadership, and yet it's his unique as long as you meet the criteria here. So he's providing so many bonuses to your team that these guys right here, you put in, some other characters, you're able to get through Proving Grounds. And that is huge as a free-to-play. One of the biggest struggles I hear players say time and time again is Proving Grounds. And having a team like this be capable of beating Proving Grounds is huge. This is also a great team in Conquest. I use this team in Conquest all the time. I've seen it in territory battles do good things in the mixed zone. This is a team where, while these characters aren't needed in the raid, they're so good, especially in Grand Arena being their primary thing. You throw the Juhani and Mara Jade Omicrons on, you got a great team for Territory Wars as well. But as a free-to-play, to be able to use these guys in Grand Arena to beat Galactic Legends, I've beat Jedi Master Luke, I've beat Kylo, I've beat Rey. Those are all one-shots. I've even used this team to beat certain Sith Eternal compositions in Territory Wars without Omicrons. That, depending on what your opponent set, you've got to think. You're going to be seeing characters and teams that are really strange coming up. Teams like this, even without Omicrons, can be really, really good if you're utilizing the stat bonuses from Starkiller. So to me, I think this is I understand it's a little bit harder of a farm. It's probably the biggest stretch here in terms of, how free to play it is. But I think for what you invest into it and what you get out of it, this team is just unreal. I'm sorry. It's unreal. They do way too much good for you. So yeah, you've got to have this team. I think it's just so important and will pay dividends to you. Now, this one I can't believe I put on the list. I'm going to get so much heat for this, but Ewoks. To my friend Mahir, who's had Relic, Chirpa, and Wicket for forever, your time has come. This is probably one of the most important teams in the game now, because these are the guys you're using to get C-3PO. Right now, as of right now in December, this team here is determining how many players are able not only get C-3PO, but how much you can score in the raid. 3 of these characters are requirements for Galactic Legend Leia Organa, while the entire faction itself is in the raid, and they're good. Like, Nisa is one of the better characters in the raid, and I have garbage mods on her. I don't have her Zetas, and she's still a very good character. The entire Ewok faction able to be used in this raid. As a free-to-play, you have to think about overall investment, that if you throw heavy gear into Chirpa, Nisa, and Wicket for this raid, it's going to pay you dividends whenever you do go decide to get Leia. Maybe you need to get C-3PO. Like, guys, I'm telling you, this team is important. I do apologize if you can hear the bass. Sorry, I'm tangent here. If you can hear the bass from upstairs, my daughter has been cranking the TV sound lately. It's actually super annoying. Like, the walls are friggin' shaking down here. Oh my gosh. Anyway, back to Ewoks. This faction to me just is so important now. I think pre-Leia, this was one of those where you're like, okay, you just got to get this and you got to move on with life and never touch them again. But I think for a lot of players, this is going to become a backbone team. If you're going after Leia, you're going to have 3 Relic Ewoks. You may as well take 2 other ones to Relic levels. I'm not going to lie. I've even considered it because I think they have potential. We just need to take them seriously. You just have to put good mods on them. But I think they could seriously have some potential down the road because, one, they're really good in the raid right now. But with Nisa now, I really think this team could do good things. I would just need to find, one, I'd need to have a lot more gear and get done with everything else. But I'd love if someone could tell me how good they could be with relics, because I have a feeling they could be. We just need to use them correctly. But I think to circle this all back, because you need them for C-3PO, because they're good in the raid, this is a faction I'd be investing gear into right now. These are the Jawas of what Jawas were to the crate raid. Ewoks are even more so to the speeder bike raid. That I think the amount that you can score with them is crazy. And if you prioritize your gear just on Chirpa, Nisa, and Wicket, and then you gear up a couple of the other Ewoks, even to just like gear 8, guarantee you'll at least do enough damage that you get your investment back on them. So remember, you can use 8 teams. So don't be afraid to make 8 teams. But I really think these guys so important right now, not just for Leia, but because of the raid. And then building for Leia eventually. I'm not saying they're important for Leia right now. Right now it's the raid importance and C-3PO. And then I think down the road it becomes, hey, this is really important for Leia. So that's why they're on the list. It's really just about the here and now. And here and now they're important. Finally, we get to these core 3 characters. Now, a lot of you are not going to like that this isn't a team, but these 3 characters, as I was trying to think of, stuff, I'm like, you know what, as a free-to-play, I think you're going to need to have these 3 characters right now. So number 1 is the Wampa, our king. Why do you need Wampa? He's a Jedi Knight Luke requirement. Duh. But it's his Grand Arena Omicron. He's a team on his own offensively with his Omicron. And everybody's going to sit there and be like, oh, well, you're only going to use it to beat Mon Mothma and General Grievous. Like, Okay, well, name a character that's going to beat those 2 teams that's going to get you 68 banners. You can't think of one. You also can't think of a single character you're going to take to Relic 3 that's going to be able to score 68 banners against those teams. That's not a Galactic Legend, right? Like, this guy is so important. Our king is incredibly important to the free-to-play player base because he's a big part of your offense in Grand Arena for forever. Even to me, at 10 million galactic power, he still plays a very big role in 90% of my Grand Arenas. So, yes, he is extremely important. And I know everybody in the comments is going to be saying Savage is better. And I will preach this until the day I die. As of right now, in a vacuum, if we just look in a vacuum, Savage is better. Because you're only going to look at the performance of the Omicron. Savage can be used with other characters, which means offense and defense, where Wampa has to be by himself, which means offense only. So yes, in a vacuum, Savage Press is a better Omicron. But in terms of an investment, you have to take Wampa to Relic 3 if you want Jedi Knight Luke. You do not have to do anything with Savage Press for any character ever in the game. That's what makes Wampa's Omicron significantly better. Is that you already have to build this guy. You don't have to build Savage Press. That's why I've said Wampa's better. It's because I'm looking at it from the free-to-play perspective that if you want to get through to this game, spending as little as spending as little resources as possible to get the most bang for your buck. Here's your king. Here's your answer. That's why I say it, guys. Enough about him. On to Iden Versio. Now, I struggled because I wanted to put her team on here, but I just feel like right now her team is not really free-to-play accessible. They're not leading you to enough things. But Iden herself is very important. And you notice that there was only 4 characters up in that General Veers team, so you could put her in that 5th slot. Now, to many of you, that would seem like a waste because she has a great Omicron for Grand Arena, and I would agree with that. But she has some things that can help that General Veers team. She does have buffs that she can give out, right? She dispels debuffs. She gives them protection up, right? There's a lot of really good things she's got in there. She has a call, if no other allies have the leader tag, call other non-droid allies to assist. So she'll deal this. Again, it's not something that can happen, like this won't happen in the General Veers team, but she's got a good basic, right? She's got a good basic, even better when no leadership allies. But even in that Veers team, she could still be good, right? There's still some things that can work out well for her there. The big reason she's here is because of the node she's on here with Vulture Droid. Vulture Droid is one of the most important ships to the, in the game because of it not needing a pilot and it being a massive part of the Separatist fleet. So yes, it's a very important ship. You really definitely need it. So being able to get Iden at the same time as that ship, very important. And then Iden's got her own ship, which is extremely good. In fact, it's an amazing ship in the Empire. It is a hugely amazing ship in the Empire. It's not the easiest thing to farm in the world. But her ship makes her much more important than people realize because her ship is, I don't want to say overpowered, but it's overpowered, guys. It's freaking good. Also, just if we go back here real quick, she is a raid character right now too. So now you've got another raid character. Again, remember, this is talking about characters that right now are very important. And Iden being a raid character, being on a node that's pretty accessible to farm with a very important ship. Her ship being important means that she's important. So to me, she's a character right now that I think a lot of free-to-play should be working on. You don't need to put crazy gear on her. You didn't even need to put crazy gear on her team to at least get some use out of it. But I think right now, she's kind of part of this core 3 that's just incredibly important to the game. Finally, our last guy, Jedi Knight Anakin. This actually has nothing to do with his ship. Jedi Knight Anakin, in my mind, is one of the best plug-and-play Jedi in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. In fact, he's one of the best plug-and-plays for the Jedi and Galactic Republic in the game. So you can put him with Padme. You can put him with Jedi Master Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, Jedi Knight Luke, Jedi Knight Revan, Jedi Master Luke. Any Jedi Knight, Jedi Knight Cal Kestis. He is so good. He's truly best right now with Qui-Gon Jinn in Grand Arena or with Padme. That's definitely the 2 areas where I'd say and with Padme. He can be in a squad with Padme. He can be under her lead. But he's just this phenomenal character. I love Jedi Knight Anakin. And he's one of these characters that, in my opinion, you build him knowing that you get that many uses out of him. So you build him and you've got a Revan team, you put him in there. And then you build a Qui-Gon Jinn team, you put him in there with them. And then as you're getting into Conquest, okay, I'm going to use him here. It's the fact that you can put him in so many different teams that makes him incredibly important to free-to-play. Remember, guys, as a free-to-play, you're trying to do as much with your resources, right? You're trying to push your resources to the breaking point, right? That I'm going to use as little of my resources as possible to get the most out of my account. So being able to use Anakin as that Jedi, as that Galactic Republic character to get feats done, to do whatever you need to do, that's what makes him incredibly important. He's not one of these guys where by himself he's he's still a very good character, but it's when you put him into those teams and those situations, he shines. I love this guy so much, and I really think you can't I think as a free-to-play, it's very hard to envision accounts without him. So there you have it, guys. There's some of the most important things to have as a free-to-play right now in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. That list could be so much longer. But I tried to look at it from this perspective of what is causing a lot of, what are teams that maybe people aren't quite thinking about? Because everybody's going to say, oh, you need Executor and you need Galactic Legends. But I think, these teams sometimes don't get enough love for how free-to-play accessible they are and what they're going to be doing for you. I think particularly looking at these troopers and Star Killer right now, as you're getting closer to 4 million GP, as players are getting these Lightspeed bundles, having a team that's going to be able to beat a lot of those just random, like you think, if I got a Lightspeed bundle here, I got Rey, I got Kylo, I'm throwing those on defense just because I don't have anything better, right? Like, I'm just going to force you to get through relics. Well, you're telling me that you can get through there with Gear 8, Gear 9 Imperial Troopers? Like, guys, it's a win-win. So, let me know your thoughts down below. Like, subscribe. I love all of you. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.